This is how my story goes. Pain and joy, I've had it all. Had it all. Can I tell you my story? Story. Oh, this is my story. As I tell you my story.
Welcome to the EN Show, and today I feel like drums should be rolling, right? I'm so excited to have you on the show, Mildred Magara, who does all of this for me, the person who makes me look good. Mildred, how are you?
I am so good, and I'm so happy to be here this afternoon. Thank you for having me and show.
Oh, so Midi. Sorry, I have to call you Midi because that's what I call you.
That's my name.
Midi, when I first met you, I was like, okay, this woman. And first of all, by the way, did I know that you've got your brand, like such a big brand? What's the name of your company? For all those who are listening and watching, I need them to go onto Facebook and click
Find me right now.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's Moshe Crafts on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, everywhere. You find me as Moshe Crafts.
Moshe Crafts.
Yes.
So when I first met you, I was like, this woman. I don't go near dress up my body type and everything, which is a big issue for a lot of plus size women.
Yes.
And over the 3 seasons, I've had such warm feedback with regards to the dresses that I wear. And I said, you know what? It's way past time. The lady who makes them, she needs to come on the show. And are you even specializing in big plus size, or do you do everyone?
I do everyone, but I've actually realized, I was actually talking to my sister last week and saying to her, you know what? I think I'm more inclined to the plus size woman.
Yeah?
And I actually love working with plus sized women more than I do with the smaller girl, not because the smaller girl is anything, but I just enjoy doing dresses for the plus size woman because it's also hard for them to get dresses.
Yes.
So when I make something for someone and they are excited when they put it on, it just gives me so much joy. And I think the options here in Zim are not as much as out there. They're a bit limited.
Yep.
So yeah, I found that my clientele is actually leaning towards the plus size woman more than the...
No, the average size woman has a lot of options.
Yeah.
And I suppose this is really a niche market. But before we even start talking about that, what got you into fashion? You are like a professional full-time, right?
I know, right? You'd be surprised. Okay, the story is long and short, so I'll try to make it very short.
Yeah.
So this is 2014. I'm working for a mine, and I'm an administrator in a mine, and things are going not so good. And then we wake up one January morning after the Christmas holiday, you go to work and there's no work. Like everything is closed down and everything is gone. Things were just not going right. So I go back home and I've got 2 kids to look after. And I'm thinking, so what next? I did fashion and fabrics in school, but I loved it very, very much.
Right.
But it never clicked that it's something that I could do as a profession, as a career. I never thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
So if I tell you it wasn't even my idea, it was my sister's idea. She's like, why don't you do school uniforms? I mean, you've been doing sales, you've been doing marketing. Why don't you do school uniforms? We get machines and get guys to come and sew for us. You get the orders and stuff. So this is how I started. But when I was working for this mine, I was working with West Africans. And every time they would go to West Africa, they would bring me fabric.
Ooh.
They'd go to
West African fabric is like gorgeous.
So I would just pick them, put them in my cupboard, and I'd always think, what to do with this? Wow. And then when we started, I would get someone else to design, to do everything for me. And the tailors would actually cut and sew. And then I wanted this particular style for my fabric.
Mm-hmm.
And the tailor said they couldn't do it. I just looked at it and thought, but I can do it myself. You know, I laid the garment, the fabric there, and I was there for like maybe 3 hours trying just to figure out how to do a skirt. The art was there, but it had a design. And I was thinking, I have to get this design right, because if I get it wrong, the dress won't come out the way I want.
Right.
So anyway, maybe 2 hours later, I had my skirt, not sewn, but cut.
Yeah.
And I took it to the tailor and I said, can you sew this for me in my size? So we got the measurements done and everything. That's the first item that I cut, which was my skirt. So I had this group as a big girl, you know, we always do the weight loss. We are trying to encourage each other to do this and that. So I posted the skirt afterwards on the group. And all my friends were like, wow, 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 wow. And I got orders. People wanted this kit.
Wow.
So this is how I then moved from doing school uniforms and started
Into
doing fashion and African print, Ankara. This was like, wow, this is my calling. And from that day, I started cutting. So as you go on, you actually start figuring out that a dress is a dress. There are certain things that are exactly the same on your dress, on my dress, on the next person's dress. But obviously, I was working with size 10s, size 12s, because that was the normal, like the standard size that you work with, size 34. Now I have to do a dress for myself. I'm size 14.
Yeah.
So how do I make it bigger from the
From the
pattern
normal.
from the normal
Right.
that I have? I'm telling you, it was such a journey. I had to learn how to increase sizes, how to go up, how to go down. And it was exciting. And it's still exciting up to this day. And if I tell you, Emily, being here today, this is 10 years
Wow.
into this. And for me, it's really significant because we started in March of 2014. And this is March of 2024. And yeah.
And you're still in the game.
I'm still in the game and still learning and still getting excited with every item that I make.
I think there's such a risk factor in making someone's dress.
Yes.
Once wapwajira, wakunzinda, ndine muchato, ndine chichichi, do you not get that hesitation to say, akomana ndikakanya hembe muni? Ndoita sei. Do you not get those? Or are you now at a stage in your life where you're like very confident, you know exactly what you have to deliver?
Yeah, like you say, now I think I'm 90%, 80%, 90% confident in what I'm doing.
Right.
Yes, there are certain things that I have never done, that I probably will never do, because I think fashion is so wide. It's like when someone sees a tailor, they think they can cut. A tailor tailors. There's a designer who designs. There's a cutter who actually cuts the dress.
So they're different things.
There are different things that people do. So someone can be a tailor, but they only know how to sew a collar and not a full dress. Someone can make a full garment. Someone can make a dress, but they can't make pants. So it's so many different things, but trying to explain to someone that, oh, no, I don't make swimming costumes. I make dresses. They're like, but you're a tailor. Make me a swimming costume. Hembe, you know. But no, I make dresses. And this is the particular fabric that I can work with. There are certain fabrics and there are different machines for different fabrics.
You know, Midi, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, one of these days I came into your workplace and I was like, this is what I want. And you're like, no. I was like, I don't need to know the clients. But you said, no, Emily, this is not it. And I was like, no, this is what I want. And we took the whole back and forth.
Yes.
I want to understand how hard it has been to say no to clients when you know that their decisions are often going to be disastrous. But we're going to take a break.
All right. Nice.
This is the EN Show. I'm with Mildred Magara, and we are talking fashion, beauty, everything that is about women. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the EN Show, and I'm with Mildred Magara. So just before the break, I said, this woman, she's the first tailor who was like, no, Emily, you can't get this dress done. And I don't even know if you even recall the incident, but I said, I like someone who's actually able to say, I know my worth, I know what value add I can provide to you, but this will not suit you.
Yeah.
And it's always a hard conversation to have, especially with clients. But talking about my dresses and how you have, over the years, made clothes for me, how do you shape and dress plus size women? And now we're all different sizes. So what goes well with what? For someone who's watching right now and who's plus size, and a lot of women do approach me and say, I don't really have the answer. How do you match style? What places do you accentuate? What places do you want to hide? And how best can you hide? Because we're all insecure about our bodies, right? And no one really is confident to say, yeah, I'm like here. So how do you work with our insecurities and make such beautiful clothing?
Okay. All right. So I think my inspiration comes mostly from just being African. I don't know if you've noticed how people are now leaning towards culture and just knowing our roots and knowing where we're coming from. And for a long time, we have gone with this thought that everything from the West is very nice, it's beautiful, and that's standard. But we can create our own standards. And us as African women are just on the bigger side. We are just plus size. So trying to figure how we can accentuate the nice parts of our bodies and hide those so not so nice parts that we don't want everyone to see. I had to actually come up with designs. I love asymmetrical designs where you are tight on your top and full on your bottom, because most of us are fuller on the bottom.
And because of the shape
Yes,
of
the
especially Southern
hourglass.
African women,
Yes,
I think we need to stop hiding our shapes.
yes, that's who we are, and
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
And it is beautiful.
Yes. So we should show out those parts of our bodies that we are very confident with. You show it out, and that part that you're not so sure, you just do something to hide it, so that you carry your confidence where you're going. You carry yourself confidently. And I don't think there's anything that makes you feel better than wearing a dress that you feel comfortable, because comfort is the other thing.
Right.
You don't want to be wearing that dress that you can't move in. You don't want to spend the whole day unhappy because a dress is too tight or it's too small, or you can't even breathe. You can't eat because your tummy, the next thing, it's going to be too tight because you've just taken a glass of water. So there's always that allowance with our cotton fabrics. There's always that allowance with our material. So it's an issue of knowing the fabric to use, knowing how to cut it. Because like these African print designs, they are really designed. They always throw in
The patterns.
They have patterns.
Right.
So you have to pick the pattern, and it's an art. Like I always say that sometimes you can't even explain it to the next person because it's an art. You just see it and you know, okay, this has to go there, this has to go there. And looking at Ems, this dress, this particular art on the fabric would work on her because she needs to hide this part of her body. She wants us to see this part of her body. We really want to see her face.
Yeah.
We want to see, we want to see certain parts of her body that speak. When somebody looks at her, that part speaks. So I think that's what it is for me. And I think also the confidence just to be able to tell a client that, I don't think this will work for you. There's a lot of people that you will tell, I don't think it will work for you. And they insist that you do it, and you do it, and it doesn't work. And then they will come back and say, okay, you were right after all. I really wanted that design, but you were right. Or, okay, sometimes also I will say, maybe, I'm not so sure this will work for you, but let's try it and see. And we both try. And we actually come out with something really nice. And we are both very happy with the outcome. So it's also a learning process for me. And sometimes you actually learn from the
client.
The client, because they'll tell you, I've been doing this I've been wearing things like this, but, I've been buying the clothes when I go outside Zim or something, but I want them in my own fabric, in our own African material, in our own Ankara material, because I want to identify as an African. Can you do this dress in this fabric? And we can actually work with that.
And, I think one of the key things that I've learned over the years is that there's a great opportunity to mix African print for a workplace setup.
Yes.
So it can be a jacket, it can be a jacket and pants,
yes,
but definitely with a white shirt. And so I think the mixture. But fundamentally, what I hear you saying is that it's your confidence levels, your self-esteem as an individual is what needs to be correct first before the clothing comes on.
That is true. That is so true.
Yeah.
That is so right. And Ems, there's a time I was thinking, why don't we just introduce a Friday Ankara feel in these organizations? And people have to learn to be confident wearing our own. We are Zimbabwean, but we are.
But what is our own? What is Zimbabwean? What is Zimbabwean in material? Yeah.
Do you know that we used to be one of the biggest producers of cotton?
Yes.
In the world.
Yep.
And we can do that. So this is cotton. And if we had continued to produce cotton, do you think we would not be able to do this?
The
We
quality.
have our own art in our cotton. We could create our own art. We could create, like the way we draw on stones and, all of that. We could actually put it on on our
On our
on our
clothes.
clothing.
Yeah.
But I think we are so limited to thinking that everything Zimbabwean has to have a flag color. And we need to come out of that and actually figure what makes Zimbabwe. It's the natural resources. You know how I am with just nature and beauty.
Yeah.
And I always look at Great Zimbabwe, the Victoria Falls, the Chinoi Caves. Why can't we have parts of that, draw parts from those things and make our fabric out of that?
We're going to pick up on that. We're going to take a break and I'm going to come back to that because my disaster
Tell me about it.
this is the Ian Show. I'm with Mildred and we are talking fashion. So we'll be right back. Welcome back on the Ian Show. So, Midi, we were talking about, just trying to get the essence of Zimbabwe into a fabric. That would be such a great challenge because you're right. Our intuition is it must have our flag colors. But if you look at, what Ankara does not have the national colors, of the various countries. So it is a big challenge that you guys have as designers. But I was talking about self-esteem and I was really talking about, I think you're a counselor. I've seen you in action. When someone comes in and they're like, I've got this material, I've got this event, and you start having to work the mind so that the dress can come out.
Right.
Is that something that you have picked up as a skill set? Or were you naturally inclined to be able to speak to people in a way that can translate into how they want to look?
Okay. So I'll take you back to the days when I was working. I was an admin. So you deal with everyone in the office. I remember I used to work with my friend Shumi, and she would say, but how do you relate to everyone in the office?
Yeah.
So sometimes you don't even realize what you're doing or what you're learning until you're in a place where you actually have to apply yourself. So I've always been this person that has a word for someone, has an encouragement for someone. I have something good to say. You come in, you're feeling down, you're feeling like, okay, I don't even think I can pull this off. And I will tell you, no, but you can because we can do this. And somehow it boosts your confidence. And that's what people need because everybody is not so confident in something about themselves, whether it's work, it's the way they dress, it's just the way they feel inside. And we are all babies inside. And we need that parent to just tell us, oh no, you're doing so well. Yeah. So that alone helps me to deal with my clients well and encourage them and push them to be more confident in who they are.
And you're so right because when you're speaking, I've had several instances where I've walked somewhere and someone says, "Hey, especially for the size that I am."
Yeah.
And then I was saying to myself, yeah, but I want to move away from someone saying for the size that you are to
Full stop.
and then I started also saying, but have I said that to anyone else? I think sometimes when we see each other on the streets,
Right.
let's be able to say, Ish,
You look nice.
you actually look good. And
Very.
but half the time people then follow you expecting there's something there. But it's a genuine compliment.
Exactly.
I've seen men carry African attire so well.
Yes.
And you do men's attire as well.
I do men's attires as well. I actually was going to tell you that, I think our men are just camera shy.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to get someone who wants to actually just come out and get pictures and all of that. They will come and order, they will wear their stuff. And, these days with the weddings that are themed,
the roras.
Yes, so there's the rora. Or people do 3-day weddings where today they will wear their Ankara. The next day it's a floral day. Then on the third day it's your dress, like you're all going out and
wow.
So you actually work with people. I've done projects like that where I'll do the Ankara dress for the Ankara day. I'll do the floral dress. So we usually do the satins, the chiffons. You're playing with color and material.
Textures.
And then you have the dress, the ball dress, the ball gown. an evening event and you have to really look wow.
You do
glitter, all
wedding
of
dresses
that.
as well.
I don't do wedding dresses.
Yeah, I was about to say
But
that's not
I do for the guests, not the gown.
not the gown.
Yes,
Okay.
not the gown for the bride.
Mhm.
No, I haven't tapped into that unless they want something really
Really funky.
Yeah, because I'm not going to do all that beading, and for me it's a lot. I think people, like I was saying in the beginning, that
Yeah.
there are people who focus on certain things and they
Right.
do it so well.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's best that you get that person to do that. But it's not something that I would say I would never do.
Yeah.
I would really love to actually venture into that and see where it takes me, because I think it's exciting.
I think it's also about collaborations as well.
Yes,
You're right.
it's true.
They're specialists in certain areas. And because you're a specialist in yours, it would be great to see how you can mix and fuse the different materials together.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know, like now people actually do wedding gowns in Ankara.
In Ankara.
Yes, and beading and all of, and it's beautiful. It's
Stunning.
just beautiful. It's stunning. Like our shwe. I'm sure you've seen
Yes,
it.
I love
I've done shwe
for
you.
me. Yeah. And so what's in the future for you? Do you want to open a shop? Do you want to go to Paris runway? What's the big dream for you?
The big dream, Ems, is actually having a school.
Wow.
For me.
Okay.
So I would love to teach, because I find with skill, when you die, you're gone. So if you don't impart it to the next generation, it dies with you.
Yeah.
And I don't want Moshe Crafts to die with me. I want Moshe Crafts to continue, whether it's my son or my niece or my nephew who's going to take over from me. I want them to actually learn that you can continue and it can be generational. It can be, and I want my son to actually make it better than where I left it. So for me, it's a school. And in my school, yes, I do fashion. You know, I love garden. You know, I love cooking.
You're a creative.
Yes.
In all honesty, I think the label for you is creative.
Yes.
I walked into your yard and your garden. I saw it from beginning where it was nothing to now. And I'm like, can you just please come to my house and
just bring your garden.
Just do the same thing that you did at your house.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. So that's the art. Where I just see something and I know this will go there and it will work perfectly. And sometimes people think when you come up with a beautiful dress, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not even that. I have people who will come and say, I don't know if my fabric will work because the design is really ugly. And I'm like, no, the fabric doesn't matter. It's the stitching. And pay attention to detail. The stitching has to be right. The size has to be right. The fit has to be right. And you won't even remember that fabric wasn't nice.
Wow.
So pick up any fabric, but get it done well.
And I think that's the key lesson here. And, you know, Midi, we've come to the end of the show. But for me personally, the life lesson here is that whatever you have been gifted by God to do, just do it to the perfection that He has given the talent for you to do so.
That's so true.
So it's funny, I started off in admin and ended up, you know, making dresses for some people like us. But I I love it. And I thank you so much for being such a big part of the Ian show. And just making me look good.
Lovely.
It's been a pleasure to have you on the show, Midi.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed myself.
Thank you. So for all those who are watching and you want to hear more about Mildred and what she's doing, please jump onto our YouTube channel for EN Extra. But as always, we are sending love and light your way. Welcome to EN Extra with Midi. Midi, I was saying, so on EN Extra, we have fun.
Yeah.
But I need to understand, because my clients, have you ever had like a really bad client, like a really bad, disastrous client? And how did you manage that?
Okay. So the one time I get this client, she actually saw someone wearing a dress that I made for her. And she asked, oh, where did you get your dress done? And it was me. So they came. I also want dresses. Can you show me pictures of what you can do? I looked at her and I thought, oh, I'm going to go crazy working with this one. Nice body, everything, just so good. So I give her the designs. She picks what she wanted. I give her prices. The next thing she calls me. Yo, wakona mocha yangu kafunga ndine mari stereki nini? Wow. Maprice wakandipa wakawana kupi. And I'm like, but I've got my page. The prices are on the page. And I actually discounted you because of the person who referred you.
Right.
You know. And he's like, no, you just saw my car and you thought, I have a lot of money.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, if you don't want me to do the stuff, it's fine.
Uh-huh.
Because I can't be explaining myself. And I don't know how you thought it was your car that made me think,
People go personal, right?
Yeah, people get personal. So, okay. Anyway, she goes back and tells this lady that's what went down with me. And the next thing, the lady calls me, the one who had referred her. And I said to her, you know what? You always get discounted prices because I started with her. I literally lent on her to do what I do. So then she says, oh, okay. It was actually my fault because I'm the one who said to her, a dress for how much?
Yeah.
I always get my dresses for like half the price. But dresses are different.
Right.
Somebody wants a big dress that takes a whole 12 yards. Somebody wants a dress that just needs 2 yards. That's different. So then I told her, no, just go on the page. I don't think you've ever been through my page and look at the prices on the page. So they went through the page and saw the price. And the next thing, the lady called me back and said, oh no, I'm sorry. I actually didn't know. I just thought maybe you thought I had.
You're lucky she said sorry.
She did. But, so that was my client. There's also times that I just mess up.
Yes, I was about to ask, have you ever messed up so bad that you're like feeling guilty?
I tried for weeks because it was a wedding. And the girl wanted pants and a jacket. And I had never done pants in my life.
Oh my gosh.
And she wanted this stuff on satin. And I'd never worked with satin in my life. But I used to do stuff for her, Tete. Like imagine, and this is Tete, your husband's sister,
Yes.
who refers you to this tailor in Harare. And you're like, what's my Tete setting me up for failure?
Oh my gosh.
They had to go hire dresses the night before the wedding. It was just a disaster. And
but I suppose
back
those
in 2015.
But those are the things that give you,
yes,
enough
up to
strength.
this day, I've never seen her again. I'm really
if she's
sorry.
watching, please answer me this one.
But yeah, I'm sure the wedding was beautiful at the end of the day. But you don't want to be part of a disaster.
Absolutely.
We all want to be part of the glory, the beautiful things. But I think what people relate to is when you also go through something that's not so good.
Yes.
Because everybody has that in their journey. So we don't want to always look like we are the perfect ones who do everything perfectly, who have everything in order. We also make mistakes and we learn from that and we continue to move on. We don't stop because we've made a mistake.
And it's human. It's human error.
Yeah.
But I must say, I remember when my husband passed on and I said, you know what, oh my Lord, I don't have anything to wear to the funeral. I literally called you. I think it was you made my dress like I think 6 hours, 8 hours before, and I sent my kids to pick up my dress from your house at like 4, 5 in the morning, and I was just saying and it just fit like a glove. That dress was like gauge what I needed. You didn't ask me, Emily, what style do you need or whatever, and I think sometimes some of the richest friendships and the richest fashion sense comes from the relationships that are built when you do have some familiarity with someone.
That is so true. I was actually talking to the lady who did my face.
Yes.
And I was saying to her, do you know that this is ministry?
It is ministry.
It is ministry. Like we don't always have to open the Bible to minister to someone. Someone can just be blessed by a good deed. And for us, it's our creative artist, being a creative artist. That's what ministers to the next person for us and for ourselves. We actually minister to ourselves as well. So I think I would take that, and I really like what you just said. And I'm sorry you lost your husband, but I love the way you continue to smile anyway.
No, you've been a big part of that. And I thank you, Midi, for always being there for me. But, this brings us to the end of our EN Extra. You and I can talk forever, right?
I know, right?
So, but thank you so much. Finally, you've made it on the show. And I hope that anyone who is watching the show and who wants to look fabulous and to feel good and just to, it makes a big difference when you feel good
Right.
about what you're wearing.
That's so
So you're a
true.
magic maker.
Thank you.
But thank you for coming on to the Ian Show.
Thank you, Ems.
right,
Thank
so-
you for having me.
And for all those who are watching, please don't forget to click on to Moishe Crafts. Did I say it right?
Yes.
And follow and like her page. And, once again, thank you for following our YouTube channel. For next time, sending love and light your way.